make one mistake and it all comes crumbling down. Hey, Sam.
Well, John, if you say "Hey Sam" right at the end of the last sentence, I also have to include the second sentence.
I realized that. I was like, there was no time between.
You know what? It's fine. I'll just take that one sentence totally out of context, and we'll just go for it.
Okay.
All right. Hey, John, how's it going?
Hey, I'm pretty good. You've been reading book 4 of the Stormlight Archive, Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson lately?
I have, and I wish I could be reading even more of it, but this dumb podcast is holding me back.
Yeah, no, I've been chained in manacles from expanding my mind of the cosmere.
Like, if I could just read this unfettered, I would be done by now. I would have finished this weeks ago.
So I'm in this constant struggle with this book. This is unrelated to like the reading itself, right? Where I like keep putting the cover on and I keep taking it back off. And, like, the whole point of a cover is to, like, protect the actual book, right? And it's got the cool art or whatever. But I often, like, take it with me places. And when I do that, I take the cover off because I don't want the cover to get all, like, crumbled when I throw it in, like, a backpack, right? And I'm like, isn't the whole point that the cover, like, takes the heat that the rest of it... And I set it on my counter where I, like, eat food sometimes, so it gets, like, little, like, stains on the book. And I'm like, I'm sacrificing the book itself to maintain the cover, and I don't know how to feel about it.
In my opinion, the purpose of a cover is to be taken off and forgotten.
Yeah, no, I remember we were at a bookstore once, and you bought a hardcover book, and you took the dust cover off, and you were like, I mean, I'm probably never going to put this back on, and you threw it in the trash can outside the bookstore, and, like, a part of my soul was, like, appalled. I was like, how could somebody do that?
What? I didn't want it, you know?
Right, no, I mean, I get it now. Like, yeah, like, if you don't want it, you have no use for it. Like, I think that, because I want to get hardcovers of all the books, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I'll just, even when I have them on my shelf, I'll probably leave all the covers on. But I agree that they look good, you know, equally good, but in a different way without them.
See, and you're wrong, because they look better without the covers.
They might, like, if it was on my shelf, I guess, if it was just the spines, I think the spine of the book without the cover looks better. But if I had them, like, faces out, I think I would want them on there.
I really like the simple, just the elegance of this. Especially, I know it's probably hard to see on the camera, but just, like, how it has the little, like, pressed in, like, almost a little bit of an engraving sort of looking thing on it.
Yeah.
I think it looks really dope.
Embossed.
I like just the purple with the shiny silver text on the back. What do you call this bit, John? The spine?
The spine.
Spine.
Yeah.
I think it looks really good without the cover. I don't know.
You probably can't tell, but, like, there's already, like, in the middle of the shard blade thingy here, like, part of it's already darker because, I don't know, something like
sure
or something.
Just a little grease probably from your hands.
Yeah, because I don't know, I used to, like, be the kind of person that was like, you gotta keep your books in pristine condition, you know?
No, you don't.
And then I read an article in my junior year of high school, and I was like, nah, books are meant to be read, abuse the heck out of them.
Books are meant to be read, they're meant to be loved. It's like stuffed animals, right? When they get pretty f***ed up, you're like, alright, that's a good stuffed animal. Darn it, now I have to edit this episode.
I heard it as soon as you said it, I was like, oh no. Yeah, but that's the thing, like, you know, if I own it, I don't really care, right? Like, it's still readable, so still presentable.
All right. John, welcome to part 2 of
yeah, I'm excited to be here.
And let me tell you, I like part 2 so far. Part 2, good.
Yeah.
But another thing that confused me, still no flashback. Not a one. I thought they were starting part 2.
I also noticed that.
And now look at this. Look how much of the book we've done. That's like a quarter of the book. Can you see the divider?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And no flashback. What's happening?
Yeah. Using a playing card as a bookmark. Very classy. I like that.
Oh, it was just on my desk. It was that or a napkin, you know?
Wait, let me guess what the card is. All right, I have 3 guesses.
Okay, what are they?
9 of hearts, 2 of spades, Joker.
No.
Damn. What is it?
I'll never tell you. No, I'm kidding. It's 2 of diamonds. Wouldn't that be rude to just never say?
Okay, it was a 2. Yeah, I was like, jeez, all right.
All right. So in part 2, we started with the interludes, of course, as we tend to do. And the first interlude was from the perspective of Sylphrena, which is kind of cool. We have yet to have an interlude from the perspective of a Spren.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm going to say right off that I like about this book that we have yet to see in previous books, right, is that the Spren have agency, right? We have Spren going off without their bonded humans and doing stuff on their own and having conversations with other characters. Right. And like they're not just, up to this point they've been really just attached at the hip, right, to their people.
Yeah.
They've been like an extension of their humans, but in this they are something more. And I like that.
Right. They go to the dog park and meet other dogs. But of their own volition.
Even more than that, they open the door of their own home and they go out into their neighbor's house and just chill with them for a second,
I'm like, they're these sentient beings and I'm calling them dogs. I felt bad after I said it. I was like, sorry, Syl. I didn't mean to dehumanize you like that.
All right. So Kaladin has been surgeoning and it seems like he sleeps a little better now, says Syl.
Yeah. Things are looking up. He's not fulfilled per se. We know he'd rather be doing the other thing, but this is much less taxing on him, mentally and physically, and he can kind of take it easy.
Yeah, he's less exhausted, and more on that later.
Yep.
Syl looks at some shard plate and she says it's kind of like a corpse. Well, kind of like lots of corpses. And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What? I don't get. Because we know that a shard plate, it does got a bunch of gems in there, right? Is it kind of like a big fabrial? I don't really know, but of course it's not like that when we know that Knights Radiant are eventually going to just be able to summon shard plate after some ideal, right? So what's I don't know the deal with that exactly. It's kind of whack.
Yeah, shard plate's still pretty mysterious.
The way Syl talks during this chapter makes me wonder, does she actually also have some sort of mental thing going on, like Kaladin's depression or perhaps addiction? Does she literally have attention deficit disorder or ADHD?
Right, because the whole time it's talking about she has her serious thinking moments where she's gotta help out Kaladin, gotta do my duty as a radiant Spren, and then the other time she's go look a squirrel,
Exactly.
It's literally
oh look, she totally would get distracted by a squirrel, right?
Yeah.
So and
I up to this point, I think we've both kind of assumed that she's a Spren and she was hanging out with the Wind Spren so long, maybe they're just
she's just kind of whimsical. I don't know, right?
All right, yeah, but yeah, I think it's possible that she has her own situation going on.
I mean, she even specifically said that other Honor Spren were not like this, right?
Right.
So I think Syl might have attention deficit disorder or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Same. Also, I need to go get tested for that because I swear I think I do.
Oh really?
Yeah. I've read a lot about some of the symptoms, and I'm like, those sound pretty familiar, but it's such a chore to go get tested for that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
Gotta get a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She hears music in the storm. I'm not sure that we've ever heard of music in the storm before.
Yeah.
But Syl mentions it many times during this little interlude.
Mm-hmm.
She says that intelligent Spren only showed up on Roshar about 10,000 years ago. And the way she said it made it sound like other Spren, just like your default, Glory Spren, Wind Spren, etc. They had all been there before, probably since the beginning of the world.
They've always been around, as far as she knows.
And what's the deal with this, do you think? Why did Intelligence Spren show up later? Was it a result of Odium and the humans coming? What's the deal?
Right. I mean, are all the what are the two types of Spren? There's emotional, and what's the other one?
And there's oh geez, the other ones are forces of nature. It's
yeah. Because I think that, I don't know that we have necessarily seen any correlation between intelligent Spren and human emotions, but maybe the emotions of humans brought these, brought the emotional Spren, and those are the only ones that are intelligent or all emotional.
Well, the thing is that anger Spren are not intelligent, right? So there's definitely it's emotion Spren, right, and then it's honor Spren, cultivation Spren, right? And then there's this third group which are well, I guess honor Spren and cultivation Spren are both the names of specific high Spren, right? Which is not what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah.
It's they're natural Spren and emotional Spren, right? And then they're also
it's a
intelligent high Spren.
Right. Yeah, maybe it's a square rectangle situation, but
maybe I don't know though. Mist Spren, that seems more like a natural sort of thing to me than an
yeah,
emotional.
That's true, and they're definitely intelligent. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. a good question.
All right, so we learned the names of a couple of spren: Cultivation Spren, Ink Spren, Peak Spren. We have, of course, heard of Cultivation Ink before. These were all examples of other intelligent spren. She says in like a weirdly lore dumpy sort of way for Syl, anytime too much power, too much investiture, too much self congregated, realms became porous and time behaved oddly. So this is weird. So the idea is that, I mean, she's telling us this because she's having a conversation with the Stormfather, and while they're having this conversation, time kind of stops for them. They're in like a little temporal bubble.
Yeah. They pop out into like their own little pocket dimension for a second.
Yeah. And this is just kind of whack, and I mean, I don't know what the implication is exactly behind this. I don't know what this means for the future of the series, but...
I know, I feel like this was a, like, little breadcrumb. It was like, remember this later.
And I most certainly will. And then there's another thing she says, even more lore dumpy, and it's actually so lore dumpy that I just copied down the entire paragraph verbatim. This is a conversation she's having with Dalinar. She's talking to him about his what do you call them? Bondsmith abilities. She says, your abilities are what made the original Oath Pact, and they existed and were named long before the Knights Radiant were founded. A bondsmith connected the heralds to Braze, made them immortal, and locked our enemies away. A bondsmith bound other surges and brought humans to Roshar, fleeing their dying world. A bondsmith created, or at least discovered, the Nile Bond, the ability of Spren and humans to join together into something better. You connect things, Dalinar: realms, ideas, people. And it's like, whoa, Syl, when did you get scholarly?
Right. I feel like she just literally punched down the fourth wall for a second and just like grabbed my face with both of her tiny little hands, and she was like, listen to my words.
Yeah. Maybe just either side of your nose. I don't know. How big is Syl exactly? It's kind of hard.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
You know, it varies.
So this is really weird though, because a bondsmith is sort of a Knight Radiant of sorts, right? So how did a bondsmith like connect Ashen to Roshar, right? Because the Knights Radiant sounded like they weren't founded. Well, no, I guess it was said that the powers of the Knights Radiants were what destroyed Ashen in the first place, right?
Well, Ashen is the Tranquil Halls.
Yes, that's the planet they fled from.
Oh, right. Sorry, yeah. So, right, like, how do we get Bondsmith before the Knights Radiant? Like, the Bondsmith is the one that created them, but he is also bound to a Spren in the first place.
Yeah,
so maybe he.
I don't understand. How did you get Bondsmith? A Bondsmith created the Heralds? Like, what?
Yeah, like
made them immortal, right? Connected the Heralds to Braze, and before that, were they really Heralds? I don't know. Like, this is all very whack. It almost sounds like Bondsmiths are like stronger than the Heralds themselves. Like, they're almost like deific in a way, right?
Right. Well, I was surprised at the end of book 3 when, Dalinar did the whole like open the perpendicularity thing, because I was like, whoa, like that seems way too strong for like your average, line of radiance. But obviously we know the Bondsmiths are different, and now we find out just how different they actually are from all the other flavors of Knight Radiant we have.
Yeah, so I think it's almost weird to even think of Dalinar as a Knight Radiant. He's almost like his own thing. He's like so strong. By the end of the series, once he's unlocked all of his powers, he's gonna be like a god, more or less. And it's just gonna be wacky. All right, next interlude.
Yep. Yeah.
Ja-Anat.
Oh, this was exciting. This was like looking forward to the readings. I looked at who the interludes were for, and I was looking forward to this one the most, and it did not disappoint, although it was very short. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. So Ja-Anat is the Taker of Secrets. She says that many unmade belong neither to the cognitive or physical realm fully. Odium trapped them in a halfway existence.
Right. So they're kind of splinched.
Mm-hmm. She tells us something about Ba'ado Mishram,
yep,
who we've heard the name of before. But
just recently
we learned that Ba'ado Mishram had granted forms to the singers during the False Desolation. So Ba'ado Mishram kind of strong.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Odium, she refers to Odium as the god of all adopted Spren. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know what this means.
Right, because we know he has like his own, sect of Spren, right? Like
Void Spren.
Like we were just talking about. So were they previously part of one of the other two groups, and he like made them his own somehow? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah, no idea. We also learned that Ja-anat considers herself to be kind of a god.
Mm-hmm.
She says the phrase, shadows and mist, Odium's pure essence. So Odium is, his pure essence is shadow and mist, I guess. Who knew?
Right. That just made me think of Mistborn.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Dude, maybe it's related.
Yeah, it could be. Mists are pretty important in that series.
Also, she said that Odium's power was like one of the 3 pure tones of Roshar, which makes it sound like there's one for Odium, one for cultivation, and one for honor, probably.
Yep. Right. And that was the thing that came up last time, talking about like what are the tones that make sense that it would be, one for each of the 3 big gods.
Also, Ja-anat was trying to kind of trick Odium into not sending her to the tower. And when she was talking about it, she said that she would like to see her cousin, the sibling, which kind of implies that her cousin is still in the tower. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
I say pretty strongly.
100%. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also referred to the sibling as a slumbering child of cultivation and honor.
Right. And that's the thing that I was going to bring up. I was like, oh, is this a literal, like, god baby?
I mean, if it's 2 gods having a baby, that's just another god, right?
Right.
That's how it works in Greek mythology.
Right. Yeah, Punnett squares, gods, that's definitely a capital letter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it seems like, we know that it's probably the thing that has something to do with the pillar and all the veins going through Urithiru, and then is currently not active or alive, whatever, Sprint are weird about dying. So, but yeah, it's got to be around. It's got to be still kicking and in whatever Deadeye form a literal god can take, I guess.
I don't think it's Deadeye, though. I think it's another thing. Or it might be.
Right. It's not a Spren, but it seems like it's in a similar sort of like undeath, but not permadead situation.
It's dormant or something, right?
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
All right. Also, the chapter ends with Ja-anat revealing that she has plans for Taravangian, which is good because he doesn't have any plans for himself.
Right. Yeah, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it'll be nice to continue. It'll be nice to keep him as a relevant character, right?
Yeah, sure will.
Because as we learn in the next interlude, his plan for himself is just to die. Which
he's like, I did everything the diagram wanted me to. I've saved my town. That was literally my only purpose. That's the only reason all of us are together. Time to just betray Dalinar, and just go down with the ship. Right? We did it.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, okay.
So yeah, he's gonna go to attack Ulim with
I think it's does the M come first?
Maybe not. Umil.
Well, you keep talking. I'll see if I can find.
He's gonna go to attack this place with Dalinar and Yasna and like really most of the armies of Urithiru, right?
Yeah, it's Emul. I think I was saying Emul in my mind.
Emul. All right, yes, Emul.
Yeah.
And then his armies are going to turn on them during battle, and it's going to end up being a death sentence for Taravangian. He will certainly die, right?
Right. Yeah. There's no chance.
Now,
so they're like,
I have been holding out hope.
Yeah.
John,
Go ahead. Yeah.
That maybe, just maybe, Taravangian actually still had a super dope plan to pull one over on Odium, because Taravangian, even though Odium is better than Taravangian at seeing the future and being really smart and stuff, Taravangian knows that Odium's power stops as soon as Renarin is involved, right? So I was hoping that Taravangian would use this knowledge to somehow use Renarin as a tool to defeat Odium somehow, or something like that, right?
Well, so my theory that I had when reading this chapter was like I think he does intend to just go die.
Yeah.
Because he did everything, like literally the diagram's whole purpose has been fulfilled, so there's nothing left in it of value. So my thought was sometime between now and when he's like going out to die, he's gonna have a super smart day, do his boon, and he's gonna like develop another plan right in there, and then like set it into motion immediately.
I don't think so. That'd be too convenient. I think Jean Not's just gonna swoop in and
do something.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what she's gonna pull off, but somehow or another she is going to make Taravangian relevant.
Right. I mean, there's no way he just like dies and that's the end of his character one way or another.
No.
But yeah, maybe some combination of Jean Not and his own thing. I just feel like he can't. I don't know. Maybe Jean Not's got a whole thing worked out, and he has reason to go along with it, and we'll find out at some point. But I think that he's gonna have some, if not like godly smart day, like a pretty smart day, where he's gonna have some other thing he wants to do. Maybe, as a result of communicating with Jean.
Yeah, a part of me wonders: is his boon truly, totally random, or by pulling the right strings, could they trigger a godly smart day?
That's interesting.
I don't know.
I hadn't thought about that.
I don't know. It's just we'll see. Either way, I was disappointed here because I was hoping that Taravangian still had some sort of cool, dope plan, and here it turns out he didn't. His plan was literally to go die, and I was like,
was kind of a letdown.
Lame. Yeah. I'm happy that I fought to put him lower on the tier list.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if there's a way to manipulate the boon. That's interesting.
He talks about how there is one or maybe even more unmade in Shinovar. So we will learn about those later.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as he's getting ready, he's going off to die. He's like really tying up all the loose ends, right? And I say, "Damn, this seems pretty final." Unless, and that's my last note for the chapter because I think that Jean Not is going to do a big unless on him.
Yeah.
All right.
And then right at the beginning of part 2, we have a lovely little map here of Shadesmar.
Ah, yes.
And let me tell you, it's so much nicer seeing these on a bigger, like a physically bigger copy of the book than the little ones.
Well, even in this, like Shallan's handwriting is very small. Like, it's hard to read those notes.
So it's kind of funny. I don't know what it is about the bigger book. Like, I definitely like the bigger books, like 100% more than the old ones. But I feel like I read them faster somehow.
Oh, interesting.
Like, I think the fact that the text is bigger just makes it easier for me to like read the way I do. Because I feel like I'm chewing through these sections like almost like 1.5 times faster.
Oh, dang, John! You want to do longer sections?
I mean, yeah, we could, I guess. Like, I'm an unstoppable reading machine.
Maybe we'll take one of the parts near the end and turn 3 weeks into 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to talking about that.
In addition to Shallan's little notes, we have epigraphs for this section. It's another letter from presumably Unity. Let's just call him Unity to avoid spoilers.
Okay.
Because I think just throwing that name out, that doesn't really spoil anything.
Yep.
So I think that these are more letters from Unity to Wit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And overall, we don't get too much out of them until the very last 2. So I'm just going to kind of skip them for now.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can just touch on what we've read so far at the end of this reading section, if we want, or just the end of the part altogether.
Yep. All right, so Shallan is chilling, and she is struggling with, Vale and Radiant, and they're all being worried for her mental health together.
Yep.
And there was a line where it sounds like, I think the line is actually, the final truth is the fear that people, the ones she loves, will turn on her when they learn of her crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, I thought there was something that she still couldn't remember, right? But now this is making it sound like, no, she knows everything. She's just worried about how other people react.
Yeah, and I can't tell now, like, having read through this whole section we just did, like, if it's just the whole killing both her parents thing, or if it's like she's afraid of that coming out and like some additional thing we haven't heard about, and now I'm just
I think that's what it is. I think it's some additional thing also. I think that she is worried about the people she loves finding out about her killing her parents and her, all the horrible stuff from her past. But I think there's also additional, even more horrible stuff in her past that even we don't know about yet.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the case.
That's my guess. There was a funny line where Pattern was referring to all of the cryptics as Pattern.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And he was like, "What do you mean? I'm Pattern. She's Pattern. He's blank's pattern.
He, she,
right?
we pattern.
And I just thought that was funny that they just all want to be called pattern for some reason.
Yeah, that was a very Wumbo moment.
Yeah. Also, the stump is back. Right now, we only hear the name of the stump.
Yeah.
But
I was excited. I was like, oh, I mean, I guess, like, makes sense that all the Radiants want to be, where the Radiants are at. Like, but it sounds like she's actually going to be pretty useful. She's an actual truth watcher with a non-corrupted spread.
Yep. Also, right now at this part, they're trying to decide who to take on their expedition to Shadesmar. Vale wants to take people who will likely be the spies, so they can keep an eye on them. Radiant's not so sure about that. Shallan,
Shallan just is happy to not be involved.
And they eventually decide, except for Vale, who they're going to take. Up to this point, they've had this great thing going, where if two of them agree on something, that is the course of action they take. They decide everything by committee. Majority rules.
Yeah.
But Vale happens to be in control right now. And Vale decides to act by herself.
Hijacks the whole plane.
Against the interest of the others.
And, oh boy, like, they confront this in the later Shallan chapters as well. As like, this was a breach of code, we all agreed on this, but as soon as this happened, I was like, geez, oh boy.
Yep. I'm sure that this won't come up again later in a much worse way somehow.
Right. Like, I'm amazed consistently throughout all of these books that Shallan just finds new and exciting ways to worry me.
Yeah, she's good at it.
It's really
She's got it down to a science.
Yeah.
All right, so Vale acts alone. Vale picks who they're going to take on the mission. She just starts telling people against the wishes of the others. And Maraes gives Shallan a cube that can communicate across realms. She can use it to talk from Shadesmar back into the physical realm, and maybe this just works kind of unconditionally. Like, would this communicate from anywhere in the world, like anywhere in all of, the Cosmere to anywhere else in the Cosmere?
That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, it sounds pretty strong. All right. Chapter 21. They're going to go into Shadesmar. Honestly, I don't have a lot to say about this one. This is where, like, Adolin's trying to pick out what coat he's going to wear, and that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I love Adolin chapters so much.
I also love Adolin. I just love Adolin.
Just for, like, I mean, this chapter almost just felt like, remember how much you like Adolin? We'll keep it up. And I was like, no problem. He does talk about, like, kind of the main theme of the whole chapter is, like, obviously he respects and, loves the heck out of Dalinar, but he did kill his mom, though.
Yeah.
So that's always going to be there, and he can't forgive him for that.
And, well, what we saw here was clearly, it was Brandon Sanderson warming us up to the idea that Adolin might, him not being able to forgive Dalinar may end up manifesting in kind of a serious way down the road, right? Right now, it's just sort of they don't quite see eye to eye, and it's a little bit of frustration on Adolin's part.
Right.
But later on, like,
they kind of have.
Who knows exactly how bad this is gonna get, right?
Right. Because they have a conversation, Dalinar saying, like, look at Taravangian over there. He's all about the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
Right? And we can't be like that. We can't murder Sadeas, even though it might be for the greater good. And Adolin was like, whoa, hey, it seems like you're kind of, grouping me with Taravangian.
Sure.
If I want to do my own thing.
Earlier we could kill innocent people when it was convenient for you, but now,
yeah. So it's, I don't know. It's kind of a fun little philosophy thing to see what Adolin, like, clearly Adolin wants to be his own person.
Yeah.
Right.
See, I don't know. It's a little fun, but mostly it's very, very concerning to me. Because if this gets bad enough for Dalinar, this sort of, for Adolin rather, towards Dalinar, this sort of quiet, like, almost resentment, right? Because he killed his freaking mom, didn't he? Right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know how Adolin is eventually going to let that out. And maybe it'll be in a way that is, like, very counter to the interest of my boy Dalinar. Maybe Adolin's going to kill his dad.
Yeah, I mean, like, literally the whole chapter, he's talking about, like, I have these feelings about this, but I just shove them down, just shove them way deep. That's never going to be a problem. And I was like, okay.
I don't think that Adolin is ever going to kill Dalinar. But, I mean, I'm just saying, it looks more possible now than it ever did before. I'm nervous about what's going to happen exactly.
He's really shoving that boogie board underneath the pool, and it's going to shoot up and uppercut him at some point.
We'll see what happens. Just to make it clear, though, I don't actually think Adolin's going to kill Dalinar. All right.
Yeah, there's no way.
So, Shallan had a line about how Pattern had run off to say goodbye to Wit. They had to talk about something important, and that is more of just like Spren having agency, but also like what the frick did Pattern want to say to Wit? You know?
Right. Well, we know he's found a cryptic, right? So
yeah. So I mean,
maybe it's got something to do with that.
We will see. Also, we learned that Shard Plate cannot go into Shadesmar, and I wonder, can any Fabrials go into Shadesmar? Shard Plate's not really Fabrials. But could you, like, take a span read into Shadesmar? Because we know that if you look at where a Fabrial is in the physical realm in Shadesmar, you see the little, like, Spren, right? Like, in stasis.
Yep. Right. Yeah, so I am inclined to believe that you can't, because it's a similar sort of situation to Shard Blades. It's kind of how I imagine it works. I mean, I know the Spren aren't, like, dead, but it seems like they have parts on both sides and they can't cross over either way.
They go into Shadesmar, chapter 22.
Yes.
We learn that the sibling is the original parent of the gatekeepers. What does that mean exactly? Don't know. But the sibling, it sounds like a bigger and bigger deal by the minute. And I suspect that's going to come to a head this book. I suspect we're going to get some sibling action.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the attack on
Urithiru
is coming any day now.
True. That'll probably be the next reading, honestly.
Yeah.
All right. Adolin says something that makes it sound like he thought for some reason his armor specifically may be able to enter into Shadesmar, even though other plate couldn't.
Yeah.
And I wonder why did he think that his armor is like special or unique, right? Why did he think his might be able to make it even when other suits cannot? Yeah,
that was weird to me. He was like, well, we won't know if we try. And it's like, well, we've kind of tried everything else, and it doesn't seem like that's the case. So,
the Stump Spren is a Mist Spren. And the Mist Spren is pretty eccentric and kind of a jerk.
Yeah, a little bit.
Also, Gallant, the horse, the Rashadian, has a bit of an after image in Shadesmar a la Zeth, right?
Yeah, right. I was like, what is up with that? That very much confused me.
So Zeth's after image is because when he died, right, his soul was all chalked up full of investiture, which made a big old stormlight mold of his soul, pretty much. And that's what pilots his body,
like,
and that's
Zyle was talking about.
And that's why he now has an after image. So is Gallant full of investiture or something?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know.
That's the only lead we have to go on. Also, I was gonna point out, I didn't realize this till after the fact, but on page 320 there's a picture of the Mist Spren, and they are kind of freaky.
Oh yeah, I thought the picture was really cool.
Yeah, I mean that's like exactly how I imagined them, which maybe I saw the picture first and like didn't realize. Yeah. So subconsciously I already knew what they looked like, but
so
cool stuff. I love all the art in this book.
Oh yeah, it's really good. So what's up with this after image though? Why doesn't it have an after image in the physical realm? Right? It's kind of weird. All right.
Yeah.
Pattern is fun. Pattern's goofy. Yep. Shallan and Adolin are having a nice intimate hugging moment, and Pattern comes up and he's like, hey guys, and he hugs them too.
Group hug. Yeah. I have arms
and
now.
He's fun. I just like Pattern. I like Pattern.
Yeah, he's great.
All right.
But which one do you mean? So chapter 23.
No, not yet. Adolin has kind of a throwaway line about how he sees more lights than he expected in the caverns beneath Urithiru. And he's like, I guess Navani posted those extra guards, haha. And I'm like, yeah, Brandon? That's a weird thing to comment on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder what those lights are. I wonder if they're actually extra guards or if, I guess we'll find out.
Yep.
All right. Stump has a conversation with Adolin, and I like the Stump. The Stump's actually really dope.
Yeah, she's great.
She's fun.
She's as much more compassionate than her like heartless orphanage leader persona in Edge Dancer led me to believe.
Well, I don't know that I would even say she's much more passionate, really. He's like, so, haha, Lift's pretty wacky, huh? And she's like, yes, I am begrudged to say that I came here following Lift's footsteps. Do not tell her how fondly I speak of her. And he's like, that was fondly?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what?
Right,
I don't know that I call her passionate, but she's just like, she's kind of weird. It's like, you know how, well, what do I compare her to? I don't know. She's like not, the way she talks isn't emotional. I imagine her speaking in like, very like precise and to the point like German or something, right?
Sure, yeah. I get you.
And she had the line about how like, yes, the Stump, what a wonderful name to have received from children. And I'm like, oh, Stump, you're so weird, but I like you.
Yeah.
Also, Peakspren kind of remind me of Rock, right?
Oh.
Peakspren, he was like, oh, silly man, you will learn this thing, And I'm like, oh yeah, Rock, is that you?
Yeah. The Peakspren literally just look like that one Malphite skin from League of Legends.
Yeah, but with clothes. Does Malphite ever wear clothes? Huh. Also, I write, will the spilled paints, it sounded like Adolin spilled Shallan's paints. I was like, will the spilled paints be the catalyst for some marital troubles? When I first saw that, when I read that, I was like, oh man, Shallan she like sighed and was like, no, I don't want your help. And I was like, oh no, is there going to be a lot of like uncomfortable tension during this whole trip?
Right, yeah.
But then I write, my very next note is in all caps, or not. Because it turns out the paint wasn't spilled. She just noticed that the cube had been moved.
Right. It had been, her whole pack presumably had been tampered with because the cube was not the way she left it. So she knows that somebody's gone through her stuff and somebody has likely used the cube, probably the spy, keeping tabs, communicating back to Mraize.
Pretty sketch. All right.
Yeah.
Now I'm down for chapter 23, John.
Also, quick question regarding the whole spy, are they on the trip or not? It's totally Beryl, isn't it?
See, I don't know, because the idea was that they were going to take that other guy along, and then they were like, oh, haha, suddenly his wife got sick, so now we're bringing Beryl instead. Bum, 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 bum.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's all a red herring, and the answer's going to end up being something really weird.
Yeah.
It's going to be like one of the Spren or something.
Because, like, I don't know. I have a hard time of, like, Brando Sando, he'll put something right in front of you that's, like, a red herring, right?
Yeah.
And, like, he makes it like, he's like, oh, obviously reasoning would lead you here, so I can, like, bring in the twist, and it's actually this thing. I'm like, is he, like, double twisting me right now? Like, now I'm getting, like, paranoid about it. I'm like, was this put in front of me to think that it was, like, so obvious that that's not it, that it will be it, and that's the twist?
I don't know. It's just this weird thing right now where this whole, like, who's the spy thing, it feels like a murder mystery sort of deal where, like, Brandon Sanderson wants me to guess at who the spy is. And for some reason, that makes me not want to.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there's something weird about this whole setup. I agree. It's like, it doesn't feel...
Also, I could have sworn there was some line earlier where Radiant was in control, and she was like, oh yeah, the person who killed Ile must have been one of Shallan's Lightweavers. But Radiant knew that wasn't right, didn't she? Or something like that. That was the line. Do you remember this at all?
Vaguely.
So I don't know. It seems really weird.
Right.
And
it's sketch for sure.
I highly suspect that the answer is just going to end up being something that I never could have guessed in a million years.
Right. It's going to be like Shallan was actually the spy.
Like, yeah, Shallan has some fourth personality who was the one who actually looked at her own cube. Or something, it's going to be like something really wacky.
Right. Formless has actually been at the part of this the whole time, and nobody knows it. Oh, jeez, that would mess me right up.
All right, chapter 23. So
yes.
we get to see Kaladin in his surgery mode, which is fun.
His new element.
Yep.
Right. He's got his hair all tied up. He's wearing scrubs.
More
or less.
he's like treating people. His nurse, I guess, who's like reading stuff to him has to leave, and it turns out Syl can read. Syl is actually a decent kind of assistant as well, and that was fun. I liked that.
Yeah, and then they're talking about, like, Callan was like, could you turn into, like, a scalpel?
Yeah, no, I mean, specifically, he was like, it would be nice if I didn't have to share a stethoscope with my dad. And I was just imagining Syl, like, turning into a stethoscope is very, I like that a lot. That would be fun.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh. It's a cool
it would be much more whimsical than all these weapons.
Yeah, it reminded me of the part in the previous chapter where Adolin was like, I need all the weapons, right? I want to try all these weapons because I can't use my shard blade there. Oh darn, got to try all these other cool weapons that are kind of irrelevant, but I'm interested in. So that was fun.
Also, what's the deal with this whole plague, John, huh?
Yeah, I was like, this is very coronavirus-y.
Well, that's not what I was just thinking, like, they're talking about it. I mean, his dad was saying, like, oh yeah, the plague actually it just like, it's a cough, it's like not even a big deal,
right?
And I was like, oh yeah?
I think it's more common coldy is what they're going
for. What I'm wondering is that if the plague's not a big deal, why are we talking about it, huh? And my suspicion is that it is gonna end up being a big deal. Okay,
right, and that's why I got, like, I went from thinking like, oh, it's the cold, it's just a cute, like, in-world way of, like, saying we have the cold now, right? But then I was like, yeah, they seem to be making it more serious, and I was just getting very much, I was like, was he writing this when COVID was a thing? Probably not, right? Yeah. So, like, I don't know, it was a little too on the nose for me. It was weird to think about.
I feel like this plague is going to end up, like, either suddenly getting really bad for everyone who has it, or it's going to end up, like, everyone who has it is going to turn into, like, zombies, or they're going to get mind controlled or something. Right. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something weird about it.
All right. Also, Teft decides that if Kaladin was going to quit being a soldier, then so is he. Mm-hmm. And at first I was like, this is a little bit of a loyal to a fault sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I really liked the mental image of, like, Nurse Teft.
Yeah. No, it was kind of... Like, they even explain it, where Teft is like, he's a military man, and you can't let, a discharged guy just try to make it on his own. So he's like, all right, I gotta be his buddy, right?
Yep.
Buddy system. Yep. Here we go. And, yeah, I don't know. I kind of liked it.
Well, I really like it as well because, Kaladin was just talking about how he's worried about being, lonely. Everyone in Bridge 4, literally everyone, is going off with Dalinar to go fight in Emul. But now at least Teft is staying behind, so Kaladin won't be so lonely, and I like that. All right, 24.
Yep, that's good. There's this picture of Pattern that's right at the end of this chapter. Like, it's very freaky to me.
He's got some long hands.
Yeah, that's exactly. I was like, he's very Slender Man-esque. But the robe looks cool as heck. Like, they described the way too sharp and geometrical, and I was like, oh okay. I'm seeing the picture. I'm like, oh yeah, that's super cool.
A little bit evil wizardy.
Yeah, very much so.
In chapter 24, this is the first epigraph I want to talk about. Because we get the names of some shards.
Ah, yes, that we have not yet heard.
Endowment, which I believe we've heard before. I believe that's the shard on I don't remember the name of the planet. It's the one where Warbreaker takes place.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But then we also get Invention, which I believe is totally new. Right.
Yeah, that one we definitely have not.
And that's kind of cool. We can add that to our list of shards.
Yeah. Yep, that's sweet. Yeah, I imagined reading this. I was like, oh my gosh, the Copper Mind is like losing their mind, getting to update their stuff.
Well, yeah. Well, Lucas for like weeks now, he's been like, oh my God, Sam, as soon as you get through chapter 25, you've got to come talk to me about that letter. Right. And I went up and I was like, yeah, we got some new names, but like,
right.
Like what? I mean, what are we going to talk about? We'll both say the names aloud on the count of 3, and that's like, I don't know. Like, what's the? Right.
Yeah, what's the?
I'm not that excited about this because we don't have any other information to go along with it.
Right. Right. It's like a fun little nugget of like Cosmere info, but it's not any like groundbreaking. Just like it doesn't lead to anything.
Yeah, like it'll be nice to eventually have the full list of 16, right? And like I look forward to that, but it's not like that crazy to me. I don't know.
Right. It's like we're finding like little pennies for our penny collection. We found a year that like we had the two on either side. We're like, okay, that one goes into the book.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
All right. We learned that the Ghost Bloods are obsessed with Ba'ato Mishram, which we just heard that heard that name from Ja'anat not long ago, and I wonder why. And so does Shallan.
Right. And so, kind of over the course of the chapter, they're talking about like he's probably trapped in a gem, and if not, they want to get him trapped in a gem. And Moraes wants that gem. Why? His whole thing's getting investiture to other planets. I'm like, if you take this guy to another planet, could he like bestow investiture on people because he gave the forms to the listeners?
Ooh, maybe.
Is that the whole grand plan here? I was like, that's what it sounds like to me.
Also, imprisoning Ba'ato Mishram was what put the Parshendi into slave form and denied them the forms of power, right?
Right, yeah.
So Ba'ato Mishram was put into a gemstone, was imprisoned.
Yep.
And there is a gem in the universe right now, which I theorize does have an unmade in it, right?
Yep.
So could it be that Ba'ato Mishram is currently in the gem Gavilar gave to Zeth, gave to Navani, gave to some random Ardent?
Yeah. That is definitely my guess, yeah.
And if that's the case,
like,
it won't be that hard for Moraes to get his hands on that little nugget.
No, not at all. And it seems like that's exactly he wants. Like that is 100% my theory. Like, go get that, take it to another planet, release him to like give investiture to people.
Yeah, it might be something else.
Don't know for what. Like, don't know what the grand, what the actual end game there is. Right. That seems like a step in a plan. You know, I don't know why he wants to bring the investiture there, but that seems like a good way to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm totally on board with your theory, but I don't have a better one either.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, I mean, I'm open to whatever the plan actually is, but that's what I'm running with thus far.
And then at the end of chapter 24, Shallan reveals to Adolin that she originally went to Navani to try, or originally went to Yasna to try to rob her, right?
Yep.
So she reveals to a loved one of her dark secrets that she was worried might, make them hate her.
And I was like, great, good progress here, Shallan.
Yeah.
And she was like, that wasn't that hard, but my deepest, darkest secret, no, he'll still hate me for that. And I was like,
no, see, though, I really like this, because, she told Adolin the secret. Adolin didn't hate her, looky there. And I say, nice, you tell him your dark secrets. Baby steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, like...
right, yeah, you're right. I should just be glad that, we're taking steps in the
right direction. As long as her rate at which she reveals secrets as long as that's faster than the rate at which she develops new secrets, I'm happy. Right. Like, we'll get there eventually, right?
Sure, right. Yeah, I guess I can live with that.
All right, and then chapter 25, we get 3 more shard names in this one.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
And the first one was surprising to me. Whimsy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Whimsy.
Right. Huh. And the whole thing, Whimsy was not terribly useful. You don't say.
16 ingredients for the universe of all the aspects of humanity, and Whimsy's one of them, huh? Yeah. I mean, I guess.
Right, yeah. Is that I like slip some chemical X in there before you get Whimsy. That's
that one just doesn't sound very... It doesn't exactly strike fear into the... or respect, does it?
Right.
I'm imagining like some... Yeah. Like
theoretically, if I'm Odium and I'm going to go kill all the shards, Whimsy seems like it's going to be an easy layup.
Like, the planet Whimsy's on probably looks more like the Candyland board than anything else.
That's exactly what I was going to say, yeah.
All right, and then we also have Mercy and Valor, which are much cooler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Super cool.
All right. And this chapter, John, I really like. This one actually had me, like, borderline happy crying at the end.
Yeah, this was good.
Because Kaladin is doing better now that he's a surgeon, right?
Yes, definitely.
When asked,
cannot argue.
When asked, "Are you happy now?" he said, "I'm not sad," right? So
right. And not sad is a place he was okay being.
He's doing okay. He's coasting. He's not getting worse, but just that that point where you're not really doing good, you're not really doing bad. It's hollow, right? It's not a great place to be.
Right. Yeah, it's not fulfilling necessarily, but it's better than where you were.
But here, Kaladin and Teft go on a little journey to find some man who was suicidal, so he was sent off to an Ardentia to be looked after, make sure he didn't kill himself. And Kaladin goes in and sees the conditions that these mentally, unstable, mentally ill people are being kept in are just horrible, right?
Yeah.
And Kaladin, dealing with depression as strongly as he does, is really able to relate to this guy. And he turns to the art and he's like, this is like the worst way you could possibly keep this guy. Here, come with me, buddy. And he takes him out into the sun and the wind and he tosses him and just levels with him and says, listen, let me guess how you're feeling. Is it like this? And the guy is like, huh, yeah.
Yep.
No, that's pretty on the nose. And Kaladin is like, oh my God, I can relate. I know how to help this guy, right? And he talks with him and it was just nice. And Kaladin is like, wait a minute, you got how many people like this?
Right, and you haven't had them ever talk to each other? Like, he's like, group therapy, never tried that? And the guy's like, well, that's not what the book says to do. And he's like, does the book say to do this with this guy? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, does it say the same thing for literally every mental case you have here? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, so...
And I was like, what good is the book then?
Kaladin quickly learns that the Ardents just treat mental health almost as poorly as America. And...
yeah, really.
And Kaladin is like, now wait a minute. Here's something that I can help with. Here's something I can be passionate about. Here's a group of people I can help and protect, which is all Kaladin wants in the world, right?
Right.
And
it's something that he has, like, the skill set perfectly aligned for, like, not just, understanding it intimately, but, like, knowing how to help it.
Exactly. And it's like the sort of thing where, like, I, at the beginning of this chapter, would never have guessed that this is what Kaladin would have decided to do at the end of the chapter. But by the time he did, I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. This is so perfect for him.
Perfect. Yeah.
And it just made me really happy because Kaladin is going to have purpose again, and he's going to help a lot of people who really need it, and he's probably going to do a terrific job, right? Mm-hmm. It just made me really happy. So,
great. Yeah. No, it was great. It was a very uplifting note to end the section on. I was like, I felt very good after reading it.
Me too. I was just smiling. So
yeah, because like, I feel like a theme of, well, I guess kind of a whole series, not just even this book so far, is like all of these, deeply flawed characters in some way or another, like making baby steps to get better, right? Mm-hmm. And this was just such a good, like, step for Kaladin, realizing what his, like, purpose could be.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was a great note to end the reading on.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
Do you want to say what's next, or should I?
Oh, I'll do it. Okay, yeah. Next time, ladies and gentlemen, we're reading through from chapter 26 through 35.
Yeah, and this is our second longest reading, page count wise, in the entire thing. Yeah.
I was gonna say just the number of chapters like on this sheet, looks larger than the rest.
I try to keep every reading under 100 pages, and this one's 96, baby. So let's go. Yeah. We're gonna get through a nice little chunk.
The next three are all pretty long. I guess. Well, yeah, we've only had one over 90 so far, and the next are all mid 90s. Yep. But hey, I'm here for it. Give me all the.
Yeah, I'm very excited to keep reading. I'm very excited, especially for the next section, because I mean, our boys and girls are going to Emul, right? They're venturing through Shadesmar. Like, by the end of part 2, I suspect they're gonna be at the Honorspren capital, right? Taravangian will have turned on them. Ja-Anat will have turned up and whisked him away or something, right? The attack on Urithiru is going to happen, and then we're still gonna have 3 parts left, right?
Yeah, no.
So I'm hyped. I'm really excited. I feel like the waterfall is about to start. And we're only we're only a quarter of the way in.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm so happy to be reading this book.
So as we've been going through, we have a little spreadsheet with all the chapters on it that we're going to read in each section. I've been highlighting them alternating colors, which is very satisfying. Mm-hmm. But it's like we've only done 4 sections so far, and I'm already having anxiety about the fact that we're like going through it so fast. I'm not gonna have anything to read in the universe when the book's done.
Yeah.
And like we have so much left, but it's like I look at every time I finish the section, I look at the bookmark. I'm like, oh man, look at the progress we're making. I was like, no, we have to slow down. I don't want it to end.
It's not enough book. I mean, Brandon Sanderson, honestly,
which is really saying something.
I mean, if we have to pick an author though, to like be really hyped every time he puts out a new book, Brandon Sanderson's a great author for that because he does write really fast, which is just
he writes fast.
Thank you, Brandon Sanderson. Updated.
You're never lost as far as like when the next book's coming out, which and that's super important to him. He says that in all kinds of things. Like he had that same problem with like Wheel of Time when he was a kid, where he was like, I don't know when the next book's coming out. I need to know what's going to happen. He's like, I'm going to make sure everybody that reads my books knows what the
truly just a very gracious overlord.
Yes. I, for one, welcome our new Sando overlord.
Yeah, Brandon Sanderson for president. No, then he wouldn't have time to write. All right, never mind. Bad idea.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for listening, guys, or watching, or whatever,
Yep, and remember, stay saucy.
Stay freaking saucy, why don't you?